on CNN today with a special on international crimes. A Dutch man, Jan P., was caught in Singapore with 130 grams of marijuana. He landed at 2 p.m. in Singapore from France on an Air France flight. Since 2006, Holland has been relaxing its laws on drugs, with 130 grams of marijuana being considered legal. However, Singapore still takes an extremely hard line with drug trafficking, being punishable with the death penalty. Public uproar in Holland, with citizens demanding that he be sent back to Holland to be tried, or he may very well see the hangman's rope in Singapore. Coming to you from Holland with a new update. Jan P. has admitted to having an accomplice from Denmark named Søren H., who managed to flee to Australia after landing in Singapore. Singapore is now demanding his extradition back to Singapore. The issue here is whether Australia will extradite him to Singapore or to Denmark. Holland has also decided to send an extradition request to Singapore. Back with the latest twist in the story. Singapore is awaiting a reply from Australia as to whether they'll extradite Søren H. back to Singapore. Live from the courthouse is the Attorney General of Australia, Mr. Goodday Mate. I am now standing in front of the Supreme Court of Australia talking to the Attorney General, Goodday Mate. Is it true that Australia has received an extradition request from Singapore?
Yes, yesterday Australia received an extradition request from Singapore. We are processing the request and we will be considering whether the person is firstly an extraditable person. The request is made from an extradition country. The offence is an extradition offence. There is double criminality and there is no extradition objection.
Does Australia extradite to countries that have the death penalty?
Ultimately, Australia's decision to extradite is at the discretion of the Attorney General, and the Attorney General will take into consideration not to extradite to countries where Zoran will be subjected to the death penalty.
I hear that Zoran is claiming that he is wanted for political offence. He insists that he hacked into the Danish military's database in an attempt to find information on the Iraq War. Is that true?
Yes, Zoran is claiming that hacking into computers does constitute a political offence, and a political offence is an extradition objection under the Extradition Act in Australia. However, Australia doesn't consider this to be a political offence, and we will be referring the matter to the magistrate to determine whether Zoran is eligible for surrender to Denmark.
Breaking news at 4 p.m. The government in Holland has succumbed to public pressure and has requested an extradition of Jan P. back to Holland.
Indeed, Holland has sent a request for the extradition of Jan P. back to Holland. In Holland's Opium Act, Article 3.1 and Article 11, it is stated that the maximum sentence of traffic in marijuana is 4 years of imprisonment with a fine. Therefore, there have been major protests in Holland, and there are fears that Jan P. may be hanged in Singapore.
However, on Singapore's side, it has to be noted that marijuana being trafficked into Singapore is not considered an extradition crime under Singapore's Extradition Act, as it was committed in Singapore. Secondly, Singapore does not have an extradition treaty with Holland, as is required under Section 7.2 of the Extradition Act. However, despite this, the Minister has the final discretion of whether to extradite the criminal. This is unlikely to apply here, for under Article 7.3, a person who is undergoing a sentence for conviction in Singapore or is being held in custody is not liable to be surrendered to a foreign state until he has been discharged from custody or has served his sentence.
We're now going live to Copenhagen to interview a legal expert on our view of the situation.
We have asked for Søren's extradition to Denmark. First of all, we want to avoid that he is sentenced with death penalty. So we want to prosecute him based on the active personality principle for the import of drugs into Singapore after the Danish law on drugs. Secondly, he's wanted here in Denmark for hacking into the computer system of our military. That is punishable under the Danish Criminal Code paragraph 263 with a maximum sentence of 18 months.
Unsurprising and hopefully the last twist to the story. A chef person Dunlop from France has committed a gruesome murder in France and fled to Singapore.
Oh no, it's not cutting! I'll do the scissors.
Currently requesting Singapore to extradite Dunlop back to France. The million-dollar question is, will Singapore agree? We are now going live to France to hear more.
Actuellement, il n'y a pas de traité entre la France et Singapour. Cependant, l'homicide volontaire est également considéré comme un crime là-bas, et c'est également un cas d'extradition. Sur la base de l'assurance d'une aide réciproque, Singapour pourra donc extrader Dunlop vers la France.
Last and conclusive news on the case. This Friday morning at 5 a.m., Yon P was hanged in Singapore.
Pronounced dead at 5:46 a.m.
Extradited back to Denmark to the delight of his friends and family. And now, a big thank you to Dunlop for sponsoring this play.